and I'll never back down. In the middle of the ring is where I lay the smack down. Against all odds, I will always prevail. So when you step to me, it's like hell in a cell.
Greetings and salutations, this is Christopher Daniels. I'm talking to my main man Delzinski right now. Any video game show, any video game channel, any YouTube channel called Vintage Shizzle is indeed hashtag Daniels approved.
Yo! Alright guys, Delzinski here. Welcome to another We Talk. It's We Talk Wednesday. And as per usual, I am joined by the Professor, fresh from WWE Live. It is Weeds. How you doing, mate?
I'm very well, mate. How are you? Have you recovered from WWE Live?
Yes, I'm feeling fresh, and it was very good. It was very enjoyable, WWE Live. We had a good time, had a few beers, booed Cena out of the arena, much like Monday Night Raw from Liverpool, but it was all good.
Well, you obviously know I'm not going to let you get away with just saying you booed Cena without bringing up a little story. Do you remember much of the evening? Wembley Arena's not our arena, really, is it?
No, we prefer the O2. We prefer the O2.
If it's not me falling asleep, it's you getting insulted. Do you remember being insulted a little bit?
Can't remember this.
Well, I remember you getting quite into the John Cena Seth Rollins match. Obviously, you were very pro Cena. Do you remember being pro Cena?
No, obviously making it up then.
Shut up. You had your wristbands on. You had that neon green top on. Let's go Cena. You got very upset with the Cena sucks chance, didn't you? Come on, admit it.
What?
Okay, we may have been in a parallel universe when this happened. You did feel the need to stick the boots in, shall we say, to Mr. Cena every now and then, and you picked that one optimum time when the whole of the crowd went quiet, just after, of course, John Cena had beaten Seth Rollins in a quite a good street fight, actually, wasn't it? But you picked that time precisely where the audience went quiet to tell him that he sucked. And what did she must have been 16 or 17. What did the girl come up to you? You went, "You suck, Cena." And she went, "No, you suck." So it was quite funny.
Yeah, I do remember that now, actually, to be honest. Yeah, getting told that I suck by a 16-year-old girl was very nice. But I think Cena got the point. I think he did.
And so did you.
Yeah, so did I, of course. But yeah,
it was a good night, wasn't it?
All in all, it was a very good night. I love going to WWE events. WWE Live's a little bit more toned down. But to be honest, I mean, it was only just the beginning because obviously WWE had a lot of issues coming to the UK with the WWE Network, which we've documented quite a lot on We Talk. And, they tried to cover up some of the issues, literally cover them up with sellotape or sticky tape by covering up the WWE Network logo on their apron with a big piece of tape over the network logo, which is kind of a bit insulting, is it not? Us Brits can tell, but
we're not that backwards, are we?
No, but I mean that was just the beginning, because all of this from the first night, obviously we were there, we saw it at WWE Live, rolled into Monday Night Raw at Liverpool, where, well, let's be honest, the crowd was a lot harsher, and I'm going to say they deserved it anyway, and Triple H most definitely felt the brunt of the WWE fans, and so did John Cena. I've never heard, I told John Cena he sucked, but I've never heard a crowd sing along to the John Cena suck. I even call it the John Cena suck song now, but
so does he?
Well, he did. He said it was a remix. Remix. Do you like that?
I was going to go. You're going back to your garage days, aren't you?
Yes, not when I lived in one, of course, but
still do.
But yeah, it was pretty awesome. The crowd, I thought the crowd was electric. I love it when crowds are like that, and it's just nice to see the WWE units voice their opinion. But as per usual, WWE, when the show came about, they dubbed it down. They tried to do it, but they couldn't. They couldn't contain it. You had the John Cena suck chants, and then you had the Where's Our Network chants, and they did dominate that opening segment with Triple H and the Authority.
I was going to say, as pissed as Stephanie and Triple H were looking that night, no one seemed to get it as bad as those guys did. They really, John Cena. I thought, you're having a bad night when you're getting booed more than Cena, particularly in England, and that was the case with the Authority. And it's just been a complete fluster cluck, hasn't it? See that? I'm even keeping my language PG to keep in tone with the WWE reality, whatever fecking era we're in at the moment. It's when you're getting booed more than Cena, something's gone horrendously wrong. And obviously, we covered it in the previous We Talk, like you said, in great detail, the WWE Network. And to be honest, when something goes that badly, someone inside that corporate office is getting fired over this for not dotting those I's and crossing those T's over what we still think is the Sky contract. But no, it was great. Like you say, WWE Live tried to put their little bit of sticky tape over the ring. It was pretty much like when it reminded me of when Steve Austin first came in with his ringmaster gimmick, and he was still wearing his Hollywood blonde boot. And I think he put a bit of tape over them as well. So no, it was great, and it was great to hear, like you say, a vocal crowd actually, giving that feedback to WWE. Whether or not they listen to that feedback is another thing, because they don't really seem to listen to much at the moment. But we can only try, can't we?
You can, but they'll never listen, because they try. That is one thing that really hacks me off about wrestling shows in general. TNA do it a hell of a lot, is dubbing the crowd. I mean,
sports entertainment. Come on, it's sports entertainment.
It's probably for different reasons. I mean, TNA is because their crowd isn't enough. But
it's not there.
That's one side, and then you've got something like WWE, who has got the crowd. I mean, has got the buzz, and they're dropping the ball by not letting the crowd have freedom of speech. And
there's rumours of signs being taken again.
Well, there's a lot of them. Let's just cover them. So apparently, might as well go through them. Apparently,
you made a list of
Well, apparently there was ICW Chance, which is a wrestling company over here. They took that out.
The closest thing you're going to get to ECW
yes.
Well at the moment. That's what ICW is.
Yeah, and obviously WWE didn't like that. There were signs. I think you've got an example of one of the signs that was had I think it was in the first few rows, which was confiscated.
There was a very, very chuckle, Cena, nuff.
I think it's pretty good. I don't know what, but why? Why would you take that off someone? That's not that bad. I came up with a sign a couple of weeks ago, which you've told me not to talk about again. That's the sort of sign that gets taken off of people. Yeah, this sign, there is nothing wrong with it. If you want to hear about the sign that I talked about before, I've been told I've been censored by Buff Bagwell that I can't talk about that sign and Gold Dust Agent. So just go back to previous episodes and check it out. But
Gold Dust Pimp, like
so. Yeah, it was.
No, what I was going to... You always take it with a little bit of hearsay, don't you, when you start seeing on the wrestling rumour sites that signs are being taken out of the crowd. But it was definitely noticeable from the beginning of Raw how many signs, particularly in those first, 20 rows around ringside, were there, and then the ones that were disappearing. Unless, they voiced their point and they were putting them on the floor. But it looked like quite a few signs were being taken.
Yeah, but it always feels like to me that that's highly disappointing, because, again, it takes away what the wrestling community is all about. It's about, being vocal. What better than having the crowd voice their opinion? I know it goes against the grain, but that's what the Attitude Era was all about. And
that's exactly. If anyone saw ECW Exposed with Joey Styles and Paul Heyman earlier,
oh my god.
Oh my god! Exactly. They basically said they took every bit of direction what they did from the crowd, more or less. So Sabu, the famous bit when he basically booked himself in Japan and at ECW, Paul Heyman did that very famous bit where he fired him live on it. I think it was a pay-per-view. Actually, it wouldn't have been a pay-per-view because they didn't have them then. And then he basically took them back because the crowd said that they warmed up to it again. So they listened to their crowd, and that's why that product was, as it wasn't as great as Paul Heyman will tell you it was, but it was very good at feeding into what the crowd wanted. And like we've said a number of times, when it comes to the identity of WWE and everything else that comes alongside it, not only are they kind of lost, well, that's what we kind of think, but they don't. They like to preach about this WWE universe and that you can vote and make a difference in a match, but can we really? I would say we can't, can we?
No.
It's too big of a corporate machine.
Yeah, and speaking of lost, I mean, you said, WWE comes across as lost. How about someone else that was lost for quite a fair period of time and seems to have maybe found his way back into the main event picture? One Ryback.
Ryback. I did miss him for those, he's been gone how many months? 3 months?
Yeah, and in that course, he's had a course because he's eaten Curtis Axel, Ryback. He's eaten him. He fed him. Feed me more.
It's great. He's gone from being a joke, and I think we were discussing this yesterday, wasn't he? He was a Paul Heyman guy. However, briefly, he was a Paul Heyman guy. He's been a Paul Heyman guy, kind of a joke. And now apparently he is no B+ player because he's back in the main event picture. Or is he? Because no one seems to know what's going on with the Survivor Series card at the moment because it changes by the hour.
Yeah, it was... issue with Ryback is the big issue with Ryback, the big guy. I've
heard him called other things today.
Well, the big issue with Ryback is, again, this is a guy that had so much promise coming out the back of the Nexus. That sounds weird, but that's how it happened. And he really did have a lot of potential. They build him like a Goldberg. Everybody knows the Ryback story. And he was dominant. And he was going through opponents left, right, and centre like a really strong laxative. He was just doing it. And
that is quite the imagery you've just conjured up there.
If you, I was tying it into the coming out the back of Nexus, but if you think about that, he was dominant. He was dominant, and he was controlling, and he looked good, and he was on a roll, and he was doing almost as such what a Rusev is doing now. Then WWE run out of ideas, and I think they obviously paired him up with Cena. That's always a huge
Cena
issue.
and Punk, and he had those. I think it was the Hell in the Cell, the Survivor Series, where he basically, I don't think he won a relevant match on a pay-per-view for 3 or 4 months, and it destroyed him.
But he lost as well. Didn't he lose in a big match against Mark Henry as well?
Yeah, WrestleMania 29, squashed, quite literally, by Mark Henry.
And if I remember rightly, it was after the match he did a shell shock, I think, on Mark Henry, completely to try and re-establish that he had some power. By that time, it's gone.
And that's when he had his little Twitter set too as well, wasn't it? Around that sort of time.
When he went nuts and kept resetting his Twitter. So he deletes all his tweets. I think someone came up with the motto, it was eat, sleep, delete, repeat, or something like that.
Retweet.
Yeah, it was just he went nuts.
That's a
basically.
T-shirt there. We could start selling those.
He went nuts. And obviously WWE are trying now to possibly re-establish the beast that was in Ryback. But is it too late? And that's what I'm getting to. It feels like to me it is too late. And this is the problem with WWE all along, is that WWE dropped the ball so many times with guys that when we do finally get them back in the picture, in the fold, it's gone. The novelty's worn off. I'm not interested anymore. And with Ryback, I thought his promos were okay. I thought his promos were all right. I thought
as long as he didn't say anything.
Well, to be honest, I quite liked it when he was having that segment with Kane and he was like, the big guy, I'm the big guy, I'm the big guy. That's how he speaks. But that was all right. That was all right.
He went up and down like a yo-yo for me on Raw this week. He went from being in a really good bit at the beginning to, why are we talking? Oh, look, we're watching him flex his muscles backstage to, right, he's talking to Kane. This makes sense where this is going. And you know that he's actually questioning whether he needs any direction whatsoever from the authority. It went back and forth. And that was the main problem for me with Ryback, and has been for a number of years. The last couple of years with him anyway, is that he's just inconsistent. And for me, he shouldn't be being booked into that main event picture at the moment. It's too soon. And the kind of level for me is it sounds like Kane, and that's where I would leave it. If you booked him in a kind of that kind of mid-card section against Kane at the moment and built him up properly, rather than trying to absolutely cram this beast again down our throats, because we as fans, we're not stupid. We're not going to buy it. I mean, if they keep doing the same with Roman Reigns at some point, we're all going to get pissed off with it. It's the same thing. WWE, as soon as they think they've got something, they just start milking it again and again and again. And it won't be long before, I can guarantee you now, and we are his biggest fans.
Don't say it. Don't you dare do it. Don't do it.
You know where I'm going, don't you?
Don't do it.
If they put anyone else with Mizdow and Miz, they are going to kill him. And don't kill Miz. Please don't kill Mizdow, because he is, for me, one of the best things on WWE altogether at the moment. But that's what I'm trying to say with Ryback, is that he's getting this amazing push again. You know, anyone would believe, if you haven't seen WWE in the last 18 months, and you've watched Raw for the last 3 or 4 weeks, you would believe that you've got to have Ryback on your team going into the Survivor Series. And the problem is that we've been watching WWE for a lot longer than that, haven't we?
Everyone seems to be forgetting. This is what made me laugh about Raw and last few weeks with Ryback, is that everyone's talking about how much of a powerhouse Ryback is, and you know how devastating Ryback is, and everybody wants him on his team. There is a beast incarnate sitting at home somewhere, relaxing with
his championship belt.
Yeah, and are we all forgetting that this guy is eligible to wrestle at some point? And if you choose, you could ask him to be on your team, John. Fancy it? Authority? Fancy it? What is going on when the world heavyweight champion is not involved at all, and we're watching Ryback being the guy everybody's fighting over? The Beast Brock Lesnar is the guy that everybody
the
should
fact
want.
that he's not on this card at the man, we haven't seen him now for quite a few weeks, and as we pointed out, not that we want to go into the technical side of WWE, but I always thought you had to defend this belt within 30 days. If they haven't got
it's Lesnar rules. It's a bit like the hardcore title that used to be defended 24/7, but this is never defended 24/7. That is the way it works. Never ever is it going to get defended. I hope when he does defend it, Crash Holly comes down from the ceiling, pins him, and runs off with the belt. That's what I want to happen.
But do you know what I mean completely? With Lesnar, I liked what they did, and the shock factor that you got at SummerSlam. We're going off slight tangent here, and it was good. And we said at the time, it's great if you're going to book him and you're going to actually pay for him to turn up. If he's going to be this novelty act that you get him in as a prize fighter, as they seem to be pitching him via Heyman. I mean, the fucking Advocate doesn't even turn up now. There is no point in having him. We talk about free agents. You've taken the piss that Ryback is the biggest thing you've got to set. When you've got Brock Lesnar sitting there on one side, you've got Randy Orton. No one's hotter in WWE wrestling wise than Randy Orton at the moment. Don't tell me Ryback's the biggest free, and everyone's got to have him stomp around the ring like some kind of moron. I'm just no.
Whoa. How dare you?
You've unleashed my beast tonight.
How dare you say that about
wrong.
me, Ryback? How dare you, Grimlock? It's just, yeah. I do kind of see. But I mean, I was just online looking at the actual Survivor Series card, to be honest with you, Weeds, and it's changed very dramatically. I'm on the wiki right now, and I can see that. Let's just have a look at this. So, obviously, the first match of the evening is Taco versus Burrito.
The event's changed. It's called the Jindrak series, from what I can see.
Mark Jindrak versus Mark Jindrak, and that's on the card 4 times?
I'm thinking someone might have hacked Wikipedia.
For the WWE Mark Jindrak Championship?
But I'm going to be honest, that first match you mentioned, if I was going to go taco versus burrito, I would go burrito every day of the week.
How about the main
Burrito is the powerhouse in that in that matchup. Taco,
Burrito.
one hit and it would fall apart, wouldn't it?
But weeds, we're not done yet because the main event currently stating on Wiki, you can see it on the screen because I was clever enough to take a screenshot before it got taken down, is Mark Jindrak. This is the team. Are you ready for this? This is Mark Jindrak's team. It's Jindrak, Mike Sanders, Chuck Palumbo, Sean Stasiak, Meat, and Johnny Stamboli. I don't even know who the hell that is.
John, you don't know who Johnny Stamboli is?
No. Should I?
Come on.
What?
Come on, this is your wrestling knowledge.
Yeah.
It's Johnny the Bull.
Oh, Johnny the Bull. Versus Team Authorita. So, I mean, and in brackets, this is a bunch of jobbers. I mean, you can see it on the screen now. I mean,
but I'll tell you what.
Is this not the Survivor Series you're waiting for?
We take the piss. And that is, of course, what we are doing at the moment. But I tell you what, you've just told me a better main event card than they are currently promoting for the Survivor Series main event. Do you? And I think Mr. Kushney put out a very valid tweet the other day when he said, could you care any less between the battle between Team Cena and Team Authority? That is my question to you tonight, Delzinski. Could you care any less about this match, this main event match?
No. And do you want to know why I say no? Very good question, Tom. Well done. But, you know, the reason why I say no is why is it Team Cena? This is something that I
he's the
need
only
an
main
answer
event
to.
person they have left.
But Weeds, just think about this for a second. Why does it have to be Team Cena? Why?
If it wasn't Team Cena, who would it be? Team
Ryback.
Team Ryback. He wasn't around when they announced the event.
Well, do you know what would have made perfectly or much better sense? Team Ambrose. Yes. Team Ambrose would have made sense, and possibly Bray Wyatt ruining the team for him. Bray Wyatt didn't have to be on the Survivor Series card in an active match, because I still think that as they're redeveloping Bray Wyatt, this is perfect opportunity to keep, dropping him in to ruin stuff, just in the way that Ambrose ruined stuff for Rollins. It can be the same with Bray for Ambrose. He can just keep dropping in, but nope, already, and that's what I found interesting about Raw. They were like this heated rivalry between Ambrose and this hasn't been going that long.
And
it's not heated at all.
There's one last thing I want to go on about the Survivor Series, but just to cover before we get into, I assume we're going to get into Bray Wyatt and Ambrose shortly, because this is the only thing I am currently looking forward to on the Survivor Series card. This is going to be an epic feud. This is going to go a few pay-per-views, and it's one of those, arguably, neither one can afford to lose. Because Bray's coming back with his refined gimmick. He's been kept off TV. And Ambrose has just lost to Rollins, albeit with outside interference. But neither of them can really afford to lose this. So it will be very interesting. And for me, this is one of the key feuds going into 2015. The reason I want to go back to the Survivor Series match just before, and I know you're quite keen to talk about Ambrose and Wyatt. And it's one more question I'd like to pose to you. If, and this is a big if, because under no conditions do I currently see this happening, if Team John Cena and Mr. Ziggler and the Big Show and
you can't even remember them, can you?
I can. I'm no you. The Big Show and a TBA. Please be Randy Orton, because it's the only thing that makes sense. If they get in there and beat probably not the most awesome team ever fought up for a Survival Series, but probably the slowest and biggest team I've ever seen at Survivor Series. If they beat the Authority, where do we go from there? Who's in charge of Raw? What would you do?
I'd bring back the anonymous general manager.
No way, not that bloody laptop.
I would, just so I can hear Michael Cole not plug the network as much, because he'd have to keep getting up and going, and I quote.
I reckon they should let it do it in that kind of, the computer speak that you get. That would be a lot better than having to listen to Michael Cole regularly.
No, I really wouldn't want that, to be honest, because that sucked as well. But I don't know.
I would
Vince
maybe like a
back?
condition where someone, if John Cena is this important and then WWE must go through him, maybe let him pick.
No.
Because then we could get what I'm trying to get through. I want Paul Heyman running Raw. We're not going to get that, but in my dream fantasy booking scenario, I have John Cena in. We get rid of the authority. We replace him with someone who knows something about wrestling, not sports entertainment.
I've thought about it. I've come to a decision.
I know where you're going. It's Renee Young, isn't it?
No.
Oh, no, because Eric Rowan's too busy looking around for her at the moment, isn't he?
She pretty.
Anyhow,
I could do that gimmick. I just walk around with a mask on.
What are you talking about? You do that gimmick. You live that gimmick.
Oh, yeah, I do live that gimmick. Well,
what would your answer be?
The Disco Inferno.
Oh, my God.
Oh, come on. How good would it be? Just imagine, like, after all of this, Monday Night Raw, after Survivor Series, and the first thing that happens is Michael Cole, JBL do their really $9.99 bullshit, and then all of a sudden you hear Disco Fever, and out he comes, fucking dancing. He's so cocky, he's so cool. He's just a disco dancing fool. The crowd's going crazy, fireworks blazing.
Do you think WWE could potentially go full circle and become TNA, and that we'd have Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan as your general managers of Raw and SmackDown?
Anything can happen. Oh,
Discuss.
Yeah, actually, very good point. Hogan's not done a lot for a while.
He's got a lovely pink T-shirt now. Obviously, only for the month of October, because we are past the Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So I'm assuming he's going to be back in red and yellow for the foreseeable future.
Well, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'd go to Disco Inferno. But, I mean, guys, let us know by the comment spots below. So if the Authority loses at Survivor Series, who would be your pick to run or to take the reins of the WWE? Who would it be for you? I mean, is it going to be Vince? Is it going to be like Weed said, someone that Cena picks, or is it going to be the Disco Inferno? That's the one. Hit the like.
Is it going to be or Buff Bagworth? You're going to throw names in there, ridiculous names like the Disco Inferno.
How is that ridiculous? I mean, that'd be like a homecoming for everybody. That's like when CM Punk goes home to Chicago.
Right, I'm setting you an essay. You've got to book Raw and SmackDown and the pay-per-views for the next 6 months based on Disco Inferno being in charge of WWE.
Really?
Discuss.
So next week I'll bring to the table the first major storyline that the Disco Inferno would have. I'll be like Eric Bischoff, you know.
He's still trying to get the wolf pack, mate. He's
not Eric Bischoff. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but has anyone else seen that Vince Russo is booking Raw outside of the WWE? So every week Vince Russo,
that's the safest place,
on Twitter actually does rewrite the script for Monday Night Raw, how Vince Russo would do it. So every time he puts up his blog now and he says the next episode's coming after Raw, he does it every week now. He does it like live, I think. I ask him.
Blaming him for the Eric Rowan is now a stalker angle.
Well, no, he
and the bunny.
It's not elaborate enough.
Fucking bunny.
It's not elaborate enough. So every time he puts this out now, every single time he says, well, I'm booking Raw this week, I ask him the big question, the talking point, because the 1 week it's going to happen is, when is David Arquette going to rock up and become the World Heavyweight Champion? That is going to happen.
I would rather it was just, what was the character out of Scream? Was it Dewey? It would be a lot better if he rocked up as that character and won the World Heavyweight Championship.
Quite frankly, you go and check it out. Go and check it out on Twitter. Go and look at Vince Russo's Twitter, and you'll see it. Every week he books Raw, and I will do the same for We Talk, but I would do it that the Disco Inferno is in charge of Raw, and we can compare notes. I don't know if you have to actually pay for a subscription for Vince Russo's booking, but I don't know if I can get it and have a look at it.
I bet you do.
I'll compare his Raw, and I'll obviously book my Disco Inferno Raw, and we can have this as a regular segment. What would the Disco Inferno do?
What would the Disco Inferno do?
If he was in charge of the WWE, we have to have some sort of jingle. Can anyone make us a jingle, please? please.
I'm sure someone can make us say disco fever, disco fever.
Maybe Elle could do it for us. That'd be nice of her.
You have to ask her very nicely because she just thinks you take the piss out of her half the time from judging by your previous commentary.
No,
you got to be nicer.
No one takes me seriously.
It's your sarcastic attitude you come in to all these commentaries with.
What, like booking the disco? I'm deadly serious. What the hell is going on? Anyway, guys, let us know by the comments box below. If you want to hear me book Raw with the Disco Inferno, just hit the like button. Let me know. I reckon we can get 100 likes out of that. Anyway.
This video is going to bomb, mate.
No, it's not. Anyway.
We were discussing Mr. Wyatt and Mr. Ambrose, or Ambrose, as they say.
Yeah, and I think this may lead us on to the other section of the Wyatts as well, because what's going on with those two? But I mean,
who would have thought they could get weirder?
They can.
Yes, they can.
Very interesting were the promos this week. Thought they were pretty good. Bit of a shame they didn't actually really do much on Raw in the UK. I think the fans would have been disappointed at that. But Bray looking good, liking everything that Bray's doing, liking the fact that he said obviously he set free Rowan and Harper, and he sort of cured them, and now he's looking to do the same with Ambrose. It's just such a shame that the storyline coming out of that with those two guys is not strong enough to back that up, because actually, quite frankly,
that's very polite.
It's complete and utter garbage. Because
I was going to go for piss poor,
because one of them has said you can rely on me when you know you can't trust that guy as far as you could throw him, and the other one, well, he's just walking around twiddling hair, which is what I want to do. So
bless him. He's got a new boiler suit. He's still got logos of the Wyatts on it. I don't think anyone's told him there is no longer a Wyatt family, is there?
I just want to give him a big fat hug.
It's the ginger beard, isn't it?
It is.
Our brother in arms.
Can't wait for the beard tech in 2K15.
Beard tech.
Can't wait for the beard tech. But yeah, I mean that's kind of ruined that. But overall, this feud is good, and I think this is giving Bray Wyatt that charge and that push. Where I said a few weeks ago, and we talk, everyone's forgot about Bray. Well, they haven't, because he's back.
Yeah, we forgot about Bray. Yeah, he is back, and to be honest, he is a good enough reason, him and Ambrose at the moment, just to watch SmackDown in itself. That promo when he cut away and then he was behind Ambrose.
That was good. That was good.
That was great, and I think that the actual reason, this is the first time I've actually properly listened to a Bray Wyatt. I'm all over
a Barry Windham promo.
See, he's another stalker. He played the stalker. Google it, wiki it. Barry Windham was the stalker, the first ever stalker in WWE or WCW a long time ago. Bray Wyatt, but this is the first promo I've got in like a year that I understand. Well, this is revolutionary. I'm actually and I jest a lot, but I'm so much looking forward to this feud between the two of them, because you know the reasons they're going into it, and they're both, for want of a better phrase, fucking lunatics. It's going to be brilliant.
Don't you think though that this is the?
And they're going to do this at TLC as well.
Well, don't you think that this is the sort of Bray that needs to happen? It's that Undertaker-esque sort of element of surprise. This is the one that I think can be world champion. The one that can disappear. You know, he'd be behind you, and it's creepy. And he's obviously got this spirit thing going on that he alluded to when he was in the Hell in the Cell. And I think that this is the sort of guy that could potentially be a guy that could topple a Brock Lesnar, because he's so out there. He's the sort of guy that has a uniqueness to challenge a Lesnar in a way that no one else can. So I think
discussed it briefly earlier. The quicker we get this belt off and Lesnar gone, no matter whatever he's going to do, the better. But, no, I like Lesnar, and to be honest, I loved what they did with the SummerSlam main event. But yeah, you got to have him around regularly. At least he's got to defend it at every pay-per-view. Otherwise, it just makes the whole reason of why we're watching this in the first place bloody pointless.
It's not his fault they gave him a new contract which said it had more deals in it, but blatantly didn't.
Does he even have a contract? Does he even have a contract? I mean, we're going in. I mean, I would assume that they used to have this booked up months in advance and they knew where they were going. And granted, they have had some horrendous injury luck this year when it comes to Reigns and Bryan. But even that, it's just not smart for me to put the belt on Lesnar if you know he's not turning up at your most important pay-per-views. And Survivor Series outside of as we always say, it's one of the big four. You need to have your champions on this, and to have it 2 pay-per-views in a row where is it 2 pay? Oh, I can't see. I'm losing track of where we are because I haven't seen the man for so long. You need to get Wyatt on the. It is 2 pay-per-views, isn't it? It is, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Because it was Hell in a Cell and Survivor Series. No, I'm having to check myself, but that is the point. You can't not have your champion on for that long and no mention of him. I mean, you hardly even I know it takes the piss, but of course the network gets mentioned more. But this is your WWE champion. That is why we turn up every week to watch this.
They're scared.
It's absolutely ridiculous that you can give someone this part-time the belt and that much responsibility. Because, the WWE champion went from anyone from Bret Hart, who defended that on more or less every house show that went, to, going through to your CM Punks, your Stone Cold Steve Austins, Rock, Triple H, they would be there. And that's what you're not getting with Lesnar. So give it to someone like Wyatt. Or yes. Rollins, one of these younger guys who can actually, they actually love what they do. They're not just turning up because they get paid some, extortionate amount of money. Yeah, I love watching Lesnar, but I want him to actually be there and actually give a shit about what he's doing. Rant over.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I thought you were supposed to be talking about Bray and Ambrose, but you went full Lesnar.
No, I went full Lesnar, and this is what, like you were saying, give it to Bray.
Yes, but I agree. I don't really mind who wins the feud between Ambrose and Wyatt, but I think it makes more logical sense to go with Wyatt because he's the one that's been repackaged just now. Ambrose can probably take a loss and then bounce back and go back into a feud with Rollins. So I don't really think it's a big deal.
Do you know what I miss? And this is why I think it might be good, because you've obviously got the TLC pay-per-view after Survivor Series, and then the Royal Rumble, and don't have this. Just have them go one each, and then take it into a bigger program, and they're in the Rumble together. And I miss when we used to see regular fatal 4-ways and 3-way matches, and that's where you can get. You don't have to always have Wyatt's going to win the first one, Ambrose is going to win the second one, and then obviously we either forget that this ever happened, or do you know what I mean? It's like they need to think more creatively with this, and these two are perfect because they absolutely believe everything that their character is about. And as I said, it's the thing I am most looking forward to in the next few months.
Well, speaking of creative and how creative can they get, they clearly have gone creative with Luke Harper because he's gone
the bunny
insane.
Is more interesting. The bunny is more interesting.
Does anybody get it? Does anybody know? Is this the downward spiral of Luke Harper? Do they not see the potential in him? I mean, I thought these two guys, Rowan and Harper, should have stick together as a tag team and pick the belts up.
For the time being, I think Luke Harper is by far ahead of where Eric Rowan is as a wrestler, and potentially we haven't really heard either of them talk, but it would have been nice. I mean, we're talking about a team that never even won a belt, which is ridiculous for how physical and how big and imposing they are. And it doesn't make any sense. If you're going to turn Eric Rowan not necessarily into comedy, but some kind of, just really play up the lunatic, and he's looking for Renee Young. What's the outcome for this? Where does it go? What does it do for it?
Mid-card at best.
He's going to be feuding with that fucking bunny come the end of the year.
My issue with this is...
Or the grumpy cat.
My issue is we all bang on about how they need to establish superstars and they need to start getting the younger guys like these guys that have come through the ranks. These are the guys that they should be basing the future around. And it's clear to see from the main event picture that you haven't got anyone. So you've just got Cena, and then you're relying and going back onto someone like a Big Show, who no one cares about anymore. You're asking Mark Henry, who, he's not as, Mark Henry. Need I say more? But
we like him.
But he's not. He shouldn't be in the big spots, the big pictures. And then you're looking at other guys like fishing around with a Ryback. You're going back to guys that have failed, right? And then you've got a guy like Rowan and Harper, and then what you've decided to do is put one in a position where he can move forward, and the other one's just been cast aside. Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you instead use the other one to maybe feud for the Intercontinental Championship? Or why haven't these two just stayed together and been part of that Survivor Series team as a two and get rid of Mark Henry?
Yeah. Get rid of Mark Henry, get rid of Kane. Not needed.
Why didn't they just go for those two, Rusev? It seems stupid when they need to establish these guys and then they just go and do this. And this is the beginning of a downward spiral. He won't be able to come back from this. He'll be like a laughing stock.
Well, you could have done anything. You could have gone even more interestingly. I'm a team player. Made no sense to finish Raw. But it would have if you finished SmackDown with, Eric Rowan going up to John Cena and going, I'm a team player. And you got one on each team. But you've got an angle there, and they clash, and that would have been. They don't know why they're on opposite teams because Luke Harper's got no idea why he's on the Authority team. It's not. He doesn't even get what favors are.
But the whole thing of Rowan was that he took off that mask and he was like in the zone. That's gone. I mean, he's just become an idiot. How crap is that to be told that from creative? You were in one of the most powerful factions, and this is going from a stage when you had the Shield stand in the ring with the Wyatt family, the crowd before they even hit each other, trying, this is awesome and this is big and these were the future, and now you're looking at it now. And you're looking around and you're thinking to yourself, this guy's lost it completely. He's been pushed the other way.
This is the problem. Again, and we go back to identity with WWE, is there's so many people, and I would love to think, that if you told Austin that he had to come out and be Kerwin White's caddy, Chavo Guerrero, for those of you in the know, he would have told you to piss off. And this is what, and I assume people like Dolph Ziggler do this now, but you've got to have far more say in what your character does and speak up for themselves. And I assume it doesn't happen because, Adam Rose, he's out there, he's feuding with a bunny. We got Eric Rowan, he's chasing after Renee Young. It doesn't even make sense. And that's what we got to get back to. Let these guys live these characters. You let Dean Ambrose live his, and look what you've got. You've got a great character. You let Bray Wyatt live his. Look what you've got. A great character. Randy Orton, great character. Roman Reigns, great character. Just let them do that. And as soon as you try and put this stupid, I'm not going to go for childish kind of take on it, but this kind of fantasy, these over elaborate, these neon characters, it just does not work. And again, as soon as you give Eric Rowan some silly angle where all he's doing is effectively chasing Renee Young, and you could have put him on the other team potentially in a Survivor Series match against his former partner Luke Harper, you've got a whole feud waiting to go there. It just doesn't make sense for me how they book these guys at times.
All I'd say to you is, and I'd say to the guys out there, is did you ever think from watching those promos where Bray Wyatt was setting these guys free that you would have seen one of them take such a decline? I mean, I thought the whole point of the promos was to establish these guys as singles competitors, and the way they did it was really good. I was thinking to myself, you've actually got it this time. You've decided... I didn't agree that they split them up in the first place, but they decided to split them up. And they looked like they were going to do it in the right way, that these guys were going to go off and they were going to have all solo careers, and then maybe at some point their paths would cross. But in doing that, it looked like they were all going to be strongly established, because it was like, I set you free, which to me, in my head, I thought it meant that he was going to go and, cause some damage on his own, have his own story, not wander around aimlessly, not having a clue what's going on. I never, ever envisaged that those promos would lead to that.
I mean, a lot of it is us anticipating because we've seen this stuff before, and that's fully, if they don't sort that angle out quickly, it is going to be a joke, and Eric Rowan will disappear very quickly from TV and
become like an Odyssey.
Yeah, and I mean, he's only one or two.
Odyssey, Dick.
And we are only 2 episodes into where this Eric Rowan character's going. So hopefully one of the writers, or God forbid Triple H or Stephanie, get involved and they realise there's something outside of their crap main event that they've got going on at the moment. And they will say, look, do you know what? This is not necessarily going to make sense. It makes sense if maybe if we go down the abduction route, but they are not going to go down the abduction route of it.
Don't you dare do that.
The only person who's going to try and abduct Renee Young is Delzinski. Tell me I'm wrong. And that's I just don't see where this ends. And in a couple of weeks I might be saying, do you know what, they've done a bloody great angle here, Delzinski. I never saw this coming. And what they've done with Eric Rowan, he's straight back into that main event picture now. We should have seen this, but I highly doubt it.
Yeah, I highly doubt as well. I mean, we're coming up to almost like the last 15, and I think we're gonna take it somewhere else, because we talked about WWE quite a lot today. I think we've maxed out on Raw, and guys, let us know by the comments box below your views on Monday Night Raw, your views on the topics we've covered between obviously Survivor Series, the match card. Obviously, I'm talking about the Mark Jindrak approach. But I will say one thing before we do just go off. Are you looking forward to Grumpy Cat next week on Raw? What is that? And that's all we've got to say. What is really WWE? Really, what are you talking about? So, yeah, that kind of brings us to an end of the WWE talk. I want to get your views on it, but we've got something else to talk about, and something that I found really interesting today, to do with a former WWE employee, somebody that Vince is probably thinking, "Get him out of here." Don't know.
Michael.
Yeah,
you like this?
It's probably got the right ump, because today it was announced. Well, yesterday, Jeff Jarrett's company, promotion, we're not quite sure what it's going to become yet, Global Force Wrestling. Some say it's going to become a wrestling organisation with a roster. Some people are saying it's going to be like a promoter that actually promotes other companies in the United States. Either way, interesting to see, but they are hosting a New Japan Pro Wrestling event. I believe it's Wrestle Kingdom 9, I think, and
right.
It will have the commentator, none other than good old JR, flying out to Japan to call this pay-per-view for the United States. That
and Canada.
And Canada. That is a huge deal. And very much looking forward to this. I can't wait to see JR call the action again.
An AJ Styles match.
Well, yeah, Bullet Club are going to be there. Bullet Club just got a new member as well. It's very interesting the way that they're doing the promotional piece. I've been following it on Twitter, and I've seen Jeff Jarrett saying that, the Bullet Club's view of Jim Ross being part of Global Force and New Japan. I think this is just a one-off, but this could actually ultimately end up in a deal for Jim Ross. I've heard they're looking at partners for him for that night. I hope they get him in for, like, if they ever do massive pay-per-views, and obviously this is their first one that they're coordinating up.
So yeah, it would be great, and it's going to be awesome to hear Jim Ross calling what he does best again, isn't it?
Well, in an unwatered down environment, because New Japan is not watered down at all. It's awesome to watch. If you don't watch New Japan Pro Wrestling, or you haven't seen any matches, go and check it out. It's good. And what I found really great was they did post a promo, Global Force Wrestling, and JR actually calls the promo, and what he said is, there's no other place that I'd want to be. And I thought that was like pretty funny, because that's a blatant dig at WWE.
Well, he's already in the Hall of Fame, so they can only strip him of that, which would make them look a little bit petty. So no, it's going to be great, isn't it? Obviously, Jarrett's lining up all these international,
working hard.
All these international wrestling promotions, and you're going to see one thing you were going to see on this card with the New Japan guys and the rest of the guys. is top quality wrestling. If you want old school, hard hitting wrestling, proper stories, this is where you're going to want to watch.
Yeah, and this is where Prince Devitt learnt his trade basically, and obviously Prince Devitt now Finn Balor, NXT.
Good debut on NXT last week.
Was a great debut. Really enjoyed it, and I think that's a good start for Devitt. Still not sure about the name, but
crushing the Ascension.
He was allowed to do the double front stomp. Can't knock that. Can't knock.
He did it enough times, didn't he?
Exactly. So I mean, that's where someone like him's learnt his trade. He's learnt the aggressive side. Kenta's come from that Japanese background, and when you watch New Japan and you've got people like AJ Styles as well in the mix, it's just awesome. There's no holding back. It's hard hitting. It's in your face, smash mouth, just the way JR likes it. And I think him calling the action is the best thing for it. It's just interesting to see where Jeff Jarrett's company is going to go. Because, like I said, is it going to eventually have a roster? Is it eventually going to have a TV deal? If it was, would JR come on board and actually become a full-time commentator for the product? Or is this
not going to want to do that?
Well, or is this just going to be a more of a case of a promoter which reaches out to the likes of New Japan? I heard they've got a deal with Mexico as well, so Mexican promotions will run through the Global Force Wrestling. And
I'm not going to. I think it's AAA, isn't it? I'm not going to try and pronounce the Mexican company. I'm sure someone can inform us on Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, they're working with AAA as well, and that will be the same, where they will host the event in the States, and it kind of leads you to believe then that maybe this isn't quite what everybody thought it was, because originally I thought it was assembling rosters, so he was reaching out to people like Ring of Honor.
No, I would imagine. Hopefully, we're going to see some guys, even like your RVDs, coming into this. And actually getting to be themselves again. It would be great. And I have to say that first pay-per-view, what is it? Wrestle Kingdom 9 from the Tokyo Dome, January 4th, 2015. I can't wait for this. And again, Jim Ross is just the icing on the cake for me.
Yeah, I thought it was a bit of a masterstroke. I mean, Jim Ross has been, Jim Ross has been, calling out for a while to be brought back in some shape or form. Bully Ray even tweeted about this, again, taking a stab at TNA, I felt, was to say that finally another company, bar WWE, reached out to Jim Ross and was clever enough to bring him on board. I felt that was another dig at TNA, a guy that's been put in Hall of Fame. Come on, man. Just
commentator like Jim Ross can get your roster across without even trying. He does half of their work for them without them even needing to do anything.
He's already done it. I mean, in that promo that Global Force Wrestling put out, just hearing him on the actual advert for it just kind of made you think that is why I used to watch. I got done watching the Attitude Era Volume 2, and just listening to the commentators back then, even Jerry Lawler was good back then. I mean,
he had something to bounce off.
He was
something proper to bounce off.
He was a heel, and then you had Ross just calling the action, and that's what I liked. JR called the action, and he put a lot of emphasis on the passion between the fight, not plugging the bloody WWE network.
And we've covered it, and we've said Michael Cole is obviously getting a lot of direction of what he needs to be doing, and he probably multitasks a bit more than Jim Ross ever did. But Jim Ross, if you wanted to actually hear a wrestling match called, he's your guy.
Even Triple H acknowledges that. Triple H says, like, over the years, thanks for calling my matches, because they wouldn't be anyway as good without you commentating on them.
Can you imagine a Mick Foley or a Cactus Jack match without Jim Ross calling it? Because I can't.
Well, can you imagine the Stone Cold Steve Austin Shawn Michaels main event at WrestleMania when the rattlesnake took over? Basically, could you imagine that? The names
needed Jim Ross because it was a fucking awful match.
half of the names that these guys have, you only think about them because Jim Ross called them. The RKO and everything, it's all Jim Ross. Jim Ross's passion, enthusiasm, what he puts in to commentary is what made wrestling great. And
hopefully
he's been a big loss not being in the WWE. I never understood why WWE mucked around with him so much, to be honest.
Well, I think he was quite opinionated, and he
good.
Yeah, and I think if you know anything about WWE, Vince he likes to be challenged, but by all accounts, and from reading everyone from Jericho's to Bret Hart's book, he likes to be challenged to an extent. And at that point, he just wants you to shut the fuck up and do your job. And I think Jim Ross is one of those guys who would probably always push the envelope a little bit more. As I said, just to reiterate, it is great to have him back on some kind of wrestling pay-per-view, albeit, and I hope it's going to be, I can't see anything but good things for Jeff Jarrett. He was doing great stuff with TNA until he obviously had to relinquish some control with what they were doing. And I'm hoping that he absolutely knocks it out of the park with Global Force Wrestling.
Well, a lot of people bash Jarrett, but you got to give some credit.
He knows what he's doing.
He's the only guy.
He's humble enough to admit when he gets things wrong.
Yeah, but he's the only guy that's really wanted to put some sort of stern efforts into making competition in the wrestling industry to go against. I know he's not ever got quite there, but I mean, if he kept going with TNA the way it was going, he probably could have capitalized on that. It's a shame the way it went, but now with Global Force Wrestling, who would have thought that he would have had another shot at it?
It's
now?
Great that he's got another shot.
So
absolutely brilliant.
It is,
and the production, and again with I think, is it David Broom he's working from?
He's getting some good backing as well.
You know, he's got guys, you know, who want to make this a success. They've got the reality TV experience to some degree, and it sounds like I'm absolutely can't wait for this pay-per-view in January. I think this is going to be wrestling how wrestling used to be.
The only thing is Jarrett's got to make sure he don't get too involved.
Well, obviously there's going to be.
He's joined the Bullet Club already,
somewhere. Though. You know, he'd probably be running the thing next week.
No, it's good. It's good. Any sort of competition is good, and I think this time round, watching the way that Jarrett's done it, he's learned a lot from TNA. He's learned a lot from his mistakes, and I do think he's quite level-headed with this approach. The way he's reached out to all these different organisations and tried to get these deals. I think he's got one with Ring of Honor as well. It is quite clever what he's working on. So, it's very good. Let's see what happens in the future.
Some more competition. Competition creates a better product for everyone.
Yeah, anybody that says, I hope TNA folds, I hope Jeff doesn't succeed.
Stupid.
Yes, any competition to the WWE will make WWE work twice as hard. At the moment, they don't have to. Exactly. So I mean, let us know by the comments box below. If you didn't know that already, then it's something new for you guys. Jim Ross is commentating on an event, and it will be a New Japan Pro Wrestling event, which will be hosted in the States.
Wow, we have covered an awful lot of material, both domestically and international wise today, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. And I mean, that kind of brings us to a close for another week of We Talk. So guys, let us know by the comments box below on all the topics today. I'll list them for you. Check out Mark.
Good luck.
As well. Yeah. And I mean, Weeds, have you got anything else to say before we eventually head off?
No, I'm looking forward to obviously doing this again next week, and stay safe, guys. And until next week, see you then.
Yes, we will. And I am off to twiddle with Renee Young's hair. So I shall see you later.
You enjoy yourself, mate.
I will.